sunny day in Louisville, Kentucky, and it's the match everybody across the globe is talking about. You guessed it, it's the start of a Saturday in the USL Championship. Louisville City with a very early start, welcoming FC Tulsa, a side that beat them twice a year ago to Lynn Family Stadium. Today's broadcast is presented by Baptist Health. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, glad to welcome you. If you're Louisville City, you're hoping the friendly confines give you a little bit of a boost. Losses to Galaxy 2 on the road, Monterey Bay at home, Nashville in the Open Cup. 3 in a row.
A little bit on the up and up. It went from bad to worse, and it is slowly getting better if you look at the overall performance against Nashville. No, it's not the result. Yes, you were out of the Open Cup, but historically, this team learns from its mistakes. This is what they've gone on to do after dropping 2 in a row. Guess what? They're human, but they sit down, they look at the video, and they get better, Mike. That's the most important thing. Unbeaten runs to the tune of 16 games all the way back in 2019. They basically get rattled and then turn around and go, watch this.
Well, for Louisville, they welcome back the star of all stars. Tonight's Commonwealth Credit Union player profile, Cameron Lancaster. Wilson Harris has filled in ably, and he's going to have a major role, but they want to see Cam get on a roll of his own.
What a back and forth this is going to be if Danny Cruz can get both Cameron Lancaster and Wilson Harris on the same page. Not since that fateful Eastern Conference final on November 20th has he made it in the 11. His last goal the week prior in the 1-0 victory against the Charlotte Independents.
Tonight's starting lineups are presented by Hometown Craft House, and Louisville's made a couple of changes here, including, of course, Lancaster up front.
Could make the argument coming into the season that outside of maybe the right back spot, and we can talk about that later, this would be the preferred 11. Little shaky on the back line. You solidify it with Winder and Amadou Diaz still being their overall quality, but as you move forward, Tyler Gibson, as he ticks off the odometer, Kenny Key, the glue, to step onto the back line and help out, of course, Lancaster, and Jorge Gonzalez and Ownby on the front three.
All right, for FC Tulsa, they probably wish this game was at Slugger. They're a lot more at home on a baseball field. They have not gotten it done on the road.
They've been difficult to play at their home venue, but on the road, 0-5, it's just not good enough. Here's the thing about FC Tulsa. We know defensively that they've struggled. What Louisville also knows is in the final third, this can be one of the most offensive teams in the entire league. You're going to get the same look tonight as they switch it up a little bit here and tweak it with J.J. Williams, Brian Brown, and Joaquin Ribas into a front three. With Gabby Torres and Cabato on the outside, got to be real careful on the wings, the way that Louisville attacks down into the channel, while also maintaining that quality shape in the midfield. Normally, we see Eric Berg drop underneath. He's going to have to flatten it out. Nectar Buccio Benoit, and then the back three of Corrales, Johnny Fennick, and Bourgeois have to be tight the way that this team moves in transition.
FC Tulsa last year was Louisville City's kryptonite. Now we find out if Super Cam and Super Louisville can get back to a winning form. We'll kick this one off when we return to Lynn Family Stadium after these messages.
Keep going. Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the unmatched orthopedic care at Baptist Health. With a best-in-class team, along with services and procedures you won't find anywhere else in the region, it's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
One thing that surprised me when I talked to Kenny Payne, they've got 4 spots open on the team. He wants to fill at least 2 of them, and he says if he gets the right guys.
If I get a couple of good guards, we're going to have a pretty decent team.
I've known Kenny Payne since 1985 when he came to U of L, and one thing I've always known about him is relationships matter to him.
That's the key.
I think it'll set him apart here at U of L.
If I can do both, we all walk away and say we won.
We talked to Kenny Payne for more than 20 minutes. To watch the entire interview, go to WDRB.com.
Since 2018, Commonwealth Credit Union has proudly sponsored the Barbasol Championship. This world-class event is one of only 52 PGA Tour events, and it's all happening right here in Kentucky. Join us July 7th through the 10th at Champions at Keene Trace in Nicholasville. Children 15 and under will get free admission courtesy of Commonwealth Credit Union. Plus, all state employees will get 25% off admission with promo code CCU Golf. We're investing in our community, bettering lives, and making memories along the way. Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
Life keeps moving. It doesn't stop, doesn't wait, doesn't slow down. And one day, you look up, and you're not where you thought you'd be. But you can get there with Campbellsville University in Louisville. We're flexible, affordable, and local, and we're ready when you are. The time is now to find your calling at Campbellsville University in Louisville.
Summer's here, and with an exciting new Toyota, you can take a trip to the beach, the city, the mountains, the desert, ooh, the bayou. I think I'm sinking. Definitely sinking.
Save big on the best-selling SUV Toyota RAV4, like this electrified RAV4 Hybrid with fuel savings over $3,700. Save even more with 1.75 APR financing.
Your summer starts here.
Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome back, everyone, to Louisville, Kentucky. Closing in on kickoff, Captain Paolo Del Piccolo ready to help try and lead Louisville out of a 3-game slump, all competitions. A certain rarity to that fact as we close in on what should be a thrilling fixture here in the Eastern Conference. Tulsa got the better of Louisville twice last year. Let's see what lies in store for us today. High-powered FC Tulsa on the road to take on Louisville City. You can go top of the East if they can grab all 3 points this afternoon. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr, glad to have you aboard. That is one of the most staggering offsides I think I've ever seen.
Brian having a little laugh about it too. We're with you, Brian. Wasn't sure if he was saying is that from back there or if he was asking the referee to go to the parking lot. Good for him.
Tosh. He'll overcook that a little bit. Let's take a look at tonight's weather report. It's presented by Advanced ENT and Allergy. This is pretty much a dream scenario, and for the Louisville fans that showed up, and the Tulsa fans too, I suppose, the beer garden stays open after to watch that Liverpool-Real Madrid game. That's
I've heard of it.
They're apparently going to show it on the big screen.
The League of Champions, apparently. Rumor has it it's a pretty big deal. How cool of it, by the way, for them to throw that up there. Got a couple tweets coming into this match about family staying after, spending time with father-son duos, and what a great chance to come out, witness the championship and the matchups that usually are between these two behemoths in the Eastern Conference, at least when they play each other, and then sit back, wait for the second half of the Champions League.
Early ball, that clearance left some work. Got away from Tosh, curled effort, that's denied. And will swing out to midfield. Lancaster holds it up. Well, to put it really delicately, the sun does not shine favorably upon gold numbers on a white kit. But man, they are nice to wear. Carried out of the back of Benoit. It's collected well by Jimenez, who starts on the right tonight. Del Piccolo. Jorge Gonzalez. Out to Amadou Dia. It's well taken. FC Tulsa 15 days off. Their match against Hartford postponed due to COVID issues, and Tulsa, to an extent, still dealing with some issues. No Rodrigo da Costa, who's been real thorn in Louisville's side historically. Lebo Maloto out as well, and Adrian Dizpay unavailable, red card last time out against Orange County. Pretty notable losses, Dev.
Oh, not exactly their best performance by any means. That on the road as well at championship. I'd say the difference is this Tulsa team, we just want to see them have some consistency, even off the turnover there. I still, I say this to you behind the scenes. We talk about it on USL All Access on Sirius XM, Mike. This team has the potential to do wondrous things, both in the Eastern Conference and around the entire league itself. It's just so up and down. This attacking unit, I take them any day of the week. Add in Rodrigo da Costa for sure, and unfortunately they can't combine some of the woes that have been the back line with quality attacking, vice versa. Michael Insian could find a way to get all of that into one package. You're talking about a serious threat.
This is the side that's conceded the second most goals in the league. Winder, who returns from what was described as a hip pointer, suffered in the Open Cup against Nashville. Outside, Gonzalez. Early ball bouncing. Bone arrives. Bone levels. Lancaster right at Sean Lewis. And Cameron Lancaster, who was quiet in substitute appearances against Nashville and Monterey Bay, with a firework to start.
There's only good news for both squads in this build, though. Even off the deflection from Gonzalez, watch the quick little step here, pressure by Corbin Bone, and then unselfish. Beautiful turn by Cameron Lancaster. As he lets this fly, you have to respect the fact that Lewis is ready. It's at the goalkeeper, but it's got a tremendous amount of pace, and he brings it down beautifully.
Back to Morton. Commonwealth Credit Union has been bettering lives in the communities they serve since 1951. To learn more, visit WeSeeYouDifferently.com. There's Lewis, who's regrettably adding to his league best number of saves this year. That was his 36th. There's good news and bad news for goalkeepers with a lot of saves, Tev. And the goalkeeper in second is Ben Loon for Phoenix.
Go figure. Although the way things have gone recently out west, you can get a little bit of an idea why. Hope to turn it around in the east as they come out to Hartford tonight.
Winder skies that. Morton has to put it over the top. Brown was streaking through, and Rivas as well. Players with some pretty significant international experience. Rivas with El Salvador, Brown with Jamaica. Good to see Winder back. The injury against Nashville didn't look good.
Well, that was the first question you asked because you wondered how much it was going to affect the back line in general, who have been struggling at the center back position, and then specifically to Josh Winder as an individual. To watch his continued growth has been excellent, and nice to see that nothing long-term is to come of it.
After much consternation, they've decided this is the corner they want. That's Joaquin Rivas. Scored a couple goals in a Gold Cup quarterfinal against Qatar, and probably actually scored 3. Ball across, header snapped wide. Not a bad set piece at all. Rising up over everybody, J.J. Williams.
Solid shout here from J.J. Williams. Really difficult, even with the beautiful ball whipped in by Joaquin Rivas. Great look at the angle, even on the redirect with Bone on the near post, Morton sliding over. There is a tiny window to work through.
You think J.J. Williams can dunk a basketball?
I've told you that ever since he's come into the league, on loan or not, he's one of my more favorite players to watch because of his movements. I think the physical traits are easy to pick out, especially on the aerial capability like we just saw. And yet his success as Kentucky has never really matriculated into long-term quality within the USL Championship or his brief time in MLS. And I think that that's still a much of untapped potential there for J.J. Williams. You hope that Tulsa can get it out of him.
12 goals in Birmingham. It just never totally clicked. Tom Sohn's side. Although there were times it felt like he could be a contender for the Golden Boot come pre-seasons. Bone slaps that ahead. Del Piccolo. A little bit of width here if Ownby can catch up to it. And it's ushered out by Gabby Torres. Well, this stadium had about 8,500 for the game against Nashville with a consistent threat of thunderstorms. Today, apparently there's a concert, a festival tonight here in Butchertown. And of course, the Champions League final, the one we don't get to call.
But we're getting into next year's contract.
Right. The only Tyler I would want calling that game. Martin. Winder. Omby. Lancaster. Gonzalez. Gonzalez denied. Away from Omby. And a throw for Jimenez. This portion of tonight's game brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. Did that escape the line? Brown was down behind the play. Michael Ensign leading this FC Tulsa group. David Vaudreuil's side was imploding. He was on the bench with that group. Vaudreuil relieved of his duties. Ensign stepped in and turned this thing around in 2020 especially. Second in Group D. Lost in penalties out west to El Paso in one of the great games of the 2020 postseason. Del Piccolo, the birthday boy.
Well, remember you coming into the 19 season, full revamp of the roster. A lot of changes, and you know, we had a little birdie within the organization tonight that gave us an inclination that they would change shape a little bit. They have done it, and it hasn't remained as regular as what the comments were. They said they were going to go to a 3-back with the wings of Torres and Obinwa to drop in and help sustain the pressure down in the channel. I would make the argument that they've done that so far, but as you compress deeper on the outside, Mike, you got to make sure that you've still got proper coverage on the inside. Struggling with that a little bit. That's going to come down to J.J. Williams and Joaquin Rivas helping out in a different defensive area. We were just discussing J.J. Williams and what he can do in the final third, but now he's going to have to look on the other side so that when you get Corbin Bone that gets into that gray area, out to the right shoulder of Tyler Gibson, but still on the interior shoulder of someone like Gabby Torres. Can you drift in and pinch and make him push back to the inside, or are you going to drag him to the end line and ask for a bit of help? So far in the outskirts, that has been the good look. It's the secondary efforts coming back through the middle you have to be very careful of.
Winder, I'll get away. He should be gone for the first week or two of June, it appears. So for Winder, this may be a swan song before joining the U.S. under-19s in Spain for matches against England and Norway. Tulsa getting a shot away from distance. And that's not going to cause too much trouble for Kyle Morton. Dia. Gonzalez. Oh, Del Piccolo, it's out of his reach. Rolled back calmly by Fennick. Up and away. Bourgeois got a piece. That's a little more convincing, but Dia's going to camp under it. And over to Bone. Of Rivas. Yep. Danny Cruz had that right on.
But apparently he's working double duty as the fourth official tonight.
Interesting article in The Guardian about the lack of referees in this country right now.
20% drop over the past 4 years.
Although Danny, to his immense credit, has been pretty on point about keeping it level with officials. This is a fifth, third free kick. What do you want to see here?
In theory, you'd like to go up top, but with Lancaster on the ball, you never really know.
It is Jimenez. Lewis started toward it, and then he dropped off. Ultimately the right decision. It's a throw.
I want to see how much Louisville stay on this left-hand flank. I would say the one question mark you have, just in terms of player selection for FC Tulsa, is the Cabato-Obinwa movement. Both midfielders by trade down in the central locations. They have played on the exterior, but it's not where they normally apply their trade.
Tosh.
And so you take one of them out of a natural position and put him out there. Again, a handful of selections overall for Obinwa and Cabato at either the wingback or outside midfielder spot. But when the natural tendency is to be both-sided, have players around you, the front and back, and all of a sudden you have to change, and change against a squad like Lou City. Down the past 3 games, certainly not out. At home, hungry. I'm coming out and trying to make a statement if I'm Obinwa out on here on this right flank and punching into him a little bit. Let him know that I'm not nervous or afraid of being out of my comfort zone whatsoever.
Well done by Winder to sidewind that out to midfield. Bourgeois. Came up off Eric Bird, who runs that midfield. Fennick. That's going to go all the way out. The Future Ancestors are presenting the Race for Justice, a team relay to raise awareness of injustices in our city. June 18th at the Norton Healthcare Sports and Learning Center. Individual and virtual registrations available now. Proceeds supporting justice organizations in Louisville. The event will also include a celebration of justice with speakers, booths, and performers. Details and registration at futureancestors502.org. Card comes out. That happened in a hurry, didn't it? J.J. Williams booked.
He did get tangled up earlier, but there wasn't a foul called, and his argument here is this is his first infraction. To side with the player a little bit, I was always frustrated when I stepped in, whether I agree with him or not. A foul's called, and the referee pulls a card. One infraction, and he's saying, how are you carding me already? We're 18 minutes into the game, it's my first foul, and yet still ends up in the book.
Yellow cards are presented by World of Beer. Crowd can sense something here. A fifth, third free kick coming for Louisville. Jimenez approaches, but it's Lancaster delivering, bouncing ball. Winder got a shot away and picked out of the air by Lewis.
Good amount of pressure stepped up here defensively for FC Tulsa on the second chance, because if you don't close right there, I understand it's not a ton, but it's enough to cloud the judgment of the youngster Winder. Coming across his body, Gonzalez fighting for the same ball. That hesitation is an issue too. got to try and retain some possession here. Approaching the 20-minute mark. Better team has obviously been Louisville. You've seen a brief glimpse on the opposite end from J.J. Williams. And they don't need the ball all the time. They're that good in transition, but you can't chase all game. It's one of the things that Michael Incian talked about. Sometimes it's not necessarily the quality of our defending, it's the quantity that we've had to do, and we just get tired. Makes it difficult for us to be good on both sides of the ball, and you're seeing a little bit of that right now.
That's going to get away from Ownby, and maybe Tulsa can find a spell of possession here. Tulsa 10 winless on the road going back to September. The 1-0 loss at Louisville. 0-5 to start the year, as we highlighted pregame. Lancaster fought to close that down. Now Gonzalez steps up. Bourgeois. That's away. See the numbers pretty stark here at the outset. Although, to be fair, and speaking with Frank Yallop from Monterey Bay this week, he said, we knew we weren't going to go toe-to-toe in possession with Louisville. They had a bad travel day. Louisville's been doing this a lot longer than they have. So they dropped the lines, and they found a way to make it work in transition. Sometimes that's the right way to approach a game.
I have no problem with that at all. I have no problem with the team even going further than that, Mike, outside of a game plan, just looking at what tools they have at their disposal and saying, we'll concede a possession battle all the time. San Antonio in the Western Conference, good example of that, right? They're willing to just go, sure, you can have it, but we're going to take the 35-40% that we do and be as efficient as possible. There's not many a team that have either A, come into Lynn family, or B, faced off against Louisville in general that win the possession battle. You don't need to, though.
Gonzalez. Dia. Angles inward. Dia twisting in the wind. Gonzalez. Square for Bone, ahead to Ownby. Ownby pushed down. And this is Lancaster's music playing. Free kick, Louisville City.
Hands away from the body. Right in front of the referee, too. This is one as a player. It drifts, Mike. You start to chase a little bit. They're set up for success, too. Watch all the white jerseys. You've got a flat line in front of you. Just keep it here. There's not a ton in it. So I'm with them on the infraction. It's a really difficult pill to swallow. However, it is right in front of the referee if you're Johnny Fennick, and the arms are away from the body. Always going to get you in trouble. Q17. One of the most dangerous men in the game from this location or any set piece opportunity, 25 yards and in. And it's in a central location that makes it that much more difficult for Sean Lewis. Only 4 on the wall, but they clout it with 2 extra from Louisville. What sort of quality do you possess in your first 11 since last November?
Lancaster went for goal, and he missed it narrowly wide. He beat Lewis on an Olympico at One Oak Field last year off a corner, this time narrowly off on the set piece.
The way this thing dips, too, you come center, back across. Lewis takes a tiny step and then watch him recover. It's that little hesitation, tries to come back over. If it can put itself home in that upper corner, it's 1-0. Lewis couldn't get back enough.
Lancaster was already sprinting to the corner flag, wasn't he?
I was already trying to figure out what to say.
You always seem to find something. Back to Winder. Gonzalez. Gonzalez cuts back inside. The service. It's decent. Del Piccolo turning 31 years old today. Happy birthday to El Capitan.
Do you remember sitting with him? Obviously, we've had the opportunity a couple times, but do you remember the press conference at the 18 final, the one behind closed doors with Del Piccolo, Luke Spencer, George Davis, John Hackworth, and
Yep.
one of my favorite parts was there's a common mispronunciation of his name. People say Piccolo, and in the most Italian accent ever, with the flick of the wrist, it's Piccolo, Piccolo.
Paolo Del Piccolo.
Del Piccolo.
I try to explain to other announcers who seem confused by the verbiage versus the verbal pronunciation. You need to use the
hand.
The hand with the fingers put together, face up.
One wonders if John Michael Hayden ever has him back at the University of Louisville.
Yeah.
Come say hi to the boys, former stomping grounds.
Hope so. Take it away. Gonzalez. Heavy slide in. Fennec recovered. Lancaster was a good running mate with Gonzalez there. Wasn't meant to be.
In honor of the Champions League final today, there was a really interesting comment from Pep Linders, one of the assistant coaches for Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool, and he talked about chasing compared to pressing, and obviously the press comes from both of them, but watch Jorge Gonzalez. He just continues to chase after the play. You'll get that out of the front three at times, specifically Brian Ownby and Jorge Gonzalez, where they just continue to chase. So they may miss the actual overall press, but the pressure that they put on you by chasing you as an individual can cause you to make mistakes, especially coming off that back line.
Winder the foul, caught Joaquin Rivas. Hey, don't miss your opportunity to cheer on the boys in purple at Lynn Family Stadium this year. Louisville City single game tickets are on sale now. LouCity.com/tickets. Service here, attempt to cycle that toward goal. And Brown calling for a deflection.
Good move, one-on-one here from Gabby Torres. Look at flat-footed by Oscar Jimenez, and then a quick secondary acceleration down into the channel. Brian Brown, he's got a lot to do here because he's got J.J. Williams in front of him. Williams had drifted in from the outside position. Brown doesn't get the deflection, but that is the quality you possess if you're Brian Brown.
Morton got just enough. Oh, Benoit, header back in front. Morton made the save, wouldn't have counted anyways. It's offside.
You've got to be a tad bit concerned, though, if you're Danny Cruz. And after you've had the brunt of possession 27 minutes in, when this ball gets down in, Mike, everybody on the back line has to know that it's Williams and Brian Brown. And that's not a knock on Joaquin Rivas. I'm just talking about when that ball goes up in the air. 2 out of 3 really good in those situations. And the fact that he drifts away and is able to get that type of chance off, definitely concerning.
Floated over Lancaster. Del Piccolo, now Ownby. Appeal for a free kick, and I believe adequately decided not to be. Corrales arrived. Oh, Lewis left that just a little uneasy coming out of his penalty area. It hung up on him. Gonzalez, Dia. Tosh. Going back to the ball, Del Piccolo. Caught Kembo Cabato. Anything surprise you here from Tulsa to this point?
The shape itself is a little interesting. I mentioned to you earlier that they'd gone with 3 with the wingbacks to try and close down the channels, but I'm actually watching the way that they've utilized the 2 on the interior. Eric Bird, the one that is deeper, that's no surprise, but as Cabato comes over, Gabby Torres is actually pinching a little bit to the inside, and so it creates, at times, this 4 and then 3-3, but Joaquin Rivas is kind of off to the right a little bit. He's actually closer in the relationship with the midfield, so you're getting more isolation with J.J. Williams and Brian Brown on the far hand side. When they try and pivot that into a 2 and drop 5 into the midfield, they're not exactly linking up in the overall play. Again, this is something that Michael Incian has rolled out to try and reduce some of the chances on the outside, but you still got to be able to create going the other way.
Rivas leading Williams, chips, and Morton pulls it down like a rebound. And Louisville tries to fly the other way. That's Tulsa at their best against Louisville City in recent years. Suddenly you see 3 players flocking at you with acres of space. In the past, that's been Dario Suarez and Marlon and DaCosta. Header forward, the flag is up from the previous effort.
Credit given here to FC Tulsa on their pressure, and yes, it comes off a mistake, but this is what I'm talking about. When you start to transition the other direction, the support coming on the far side, good recognition as J.J. Williams comes through. How is there no space on the right side to step into? It's because Jimenez was so high. Tosh has to be better in recognition. There's an audacity factor here.
Another giveaway. This one doesn't create the same set of issues, but it will set up a corner off the foot of Brian Brown.
There's a caliber of opportunity there for J.J. Williams. That's pretty impressive. You just remember that there's a standard that's been put forth by Kyle Morton, one of the biggest names in the USL Championship transfer window, especially at the goalkeeping position. Coming into Louisville City, an area that they really struggled with in 21, and not really the case here in 2022 for the most part.
Missed the 1 game in Los Angeles for what it's worth. Winder out to Gibson. Siegfried conceded 4, although you could argue 2 of those goals should have been offside. Fennick, that's got to come with the yellow card. Yellow cards are brought to you by World of Beer.
He knows it too, Johnny Fennick, and Cameron Lancaster. He almost slows, waiting for the contact to come. Watch the little peek over the shoulder. It was just before, off camera, as he speeds back up, tries to turn the corner on Fennick, late to the party. The good news is they have closed off most of the movements on the width of the field. The bad news is they haven't found the balance yet with the direct balls coming up over the top and some of the combination play down the middle.
5th third free kick, and for the first time, Lancaster's not over the ball. Jimenez right off the first player. That was Rivas. Rivas has been shot out of a cannon. Slide in, Del Piccolo won it back. Charging ahead, Bone. Ombi. Bone! Gonzalez a hair late. And Gonzalez showing a yellow card.
How does he miss it? The tackle was brilliant. Now, I'll say that 9 times out of 10, referee's going to call that, and he doesn't get the ball. He actually catches a player. So I'm with Michael Incian on this one. But as it comes back through, Corbin Bone, that's vintage Louisville City. To the byline, trailing run from one of your 8s coming up through the middle. It's usually between the 6 and the penalty mark. One of their staples on their run to the Eastern Conference Final last year, and couldn't finish it off.
The yellow card presented by World of Beer. Flick on, and a chance, and there's the opening goal! Brown! From nothing at all, Tulsa takes the lead in Louisville.
Silence is golden. So is FC Tulsa, and that beautiful badge, rebranded a few years ago, the changeover for Michael Incient. We told you, 10 minutes in, they don't need a ton of the ball. The front three can be the best in the business when they are on their A game. Brian Brown has shown you a few looks, and as the flick comes back over, again, the separation on the back line for Louisville City. It's terrible. You got to be better. Even with Tosh coming back up, Winder's got to be goal side. You can't let the caliber of a player like Brian Brown spring free and expect to get away with it, and he makes you pay.
Second of the year for Brian Brown. Gibson, Gonzalez. Gonzalez whips that through. And got away from Winder. I asked Michael Incient about the win at Louisville last year in September. And at the time, he said, look, we want to catch and emulate them, but if we ruffle their feathers, it means we're doing something right. Described it as 18 men against 10,000 in this stadium. And they've silenced that number. A throw for Dia. Dia back, Gibson. Slide from Rivas. Now Bone. Lancaster, play on, says Benjamin Meyer. Taken back by Ownby. Cleverly done. Del Piccolo. Ownby. Ownby whips it across the second time, skips up and out. Baptist Health is a proud partner and exclusive provider of medical support and athletic training services to Louisville City FC and Racing Louisville. Visit baptisthealth.com/ortho to learn more. Oscar Jimenez steps to the corner flag of Wi-Fi corner. Jimenez came off of Lancaster and out. Goal came a couple minutes ago from Brian Brown, the 35th minute.
Just, there's so many things that start to occur here. You don't track back enough, A. B, the step that comes from Tosh, and then C, that little shift over. Now, the spatial awareness is something that's been lacking on the back line, but you can see the frustration on the tail end of it by Tyler Gibson. Quick restart, Mike. Got to get back. Reset your lines. A quick conversation with each other, because that's not hard to mark up like that. But as the dominoes start to fall, it's one after another, just poor decision making. How do you not drop back deep enough? Why is Sean Tosh coming that high? And then if he does decide to go, which isn't the worst thing, how do you not find a way to shift over into the space against the caliber of player like Brian Brown?
Lewis. Good step in, take it back. Bourgeois, bit isolated, and dribbles through the pressure of Gonzalez. Winder. They fancied that ball direct down the right side. Bone a bit acrobatically, and that'll bypass Del Piccolo. Spin Rivas. Toe sidesteps this out. Maintained by Cabato. Winder watches that out. Let's take a look at today's trivia. It's brought to you by Tony's Break in Alignment. Tulsa beat Louisville back-to-back last year within a 3-week span. It's only happened 4 times ever that Louisville lost to the same team twice in one season. Before Tulsa did it last year, who did it previous? Most recent. Devin's looking at me like that. The years are there. Can't you?
Yeah, that was a little bit.
Can't you do the
confusing.
timeline? No, not all of them did it. Not all of them beat Louisville twice in one season.
Rochester, Red Bull, Pittsburgh. Well, 2016 Red Bull, yes.
So you're eliminating
I'm gonna say it's. I mean, that 2018 Bob Lilly team, it was his first year. I remember the 19 game. I guess if I had to pick one, which apparently I have to, multiple choice, you just turn your Scantron in and be evaluated on the bell curve.
Give it away to Gonzalez. And now Bone. And what an intervention in from behind by Jorge Corrales. Yeah, Dev, you have to pick one.
My gut tells me that it's probably not Pittsburgh, but the analytical side of me says it is the Riverhounds. I don't see them doing it twice in 18. The problem is that Rochester team and the ridiculous amount of shutouts they put in 15, they also had a ton of draws. So,
they did.
So I'm not overly confident that they actually beat Louisville twice. Could have definitely been a win and a draw. Or at that point in time, they probably played like 7 times.
Is Tulsa the diametric opposite of a Bob Lilly coach team? This team is win, lose, no draw.
Yeah. Yeah, what's that?
Gonzalez. Dia apparently stayed on side with the deflection back to Dia. Dia strikes it across. Fennec. Bird tries to get under it. Dia kept it alive still. Dia again. Jimenez cracks it forward right to Lewis. And a potential head injury. Benjamin Meyer calling for the athletic trainer to enter the field for Tulsa.
Well, pretty sure this was the elbow by Amadou Dia trying to go in the 50-50 at the top of the box on Eric Bird.
Apologies, thought it was the header away by Fennec. Indeed, that's Bird there.
Surprised referee doesn't call a foul, to be honest. The fact that it's right in front of him, arms away from the body and to the temple.
Eric Bird won the 18 Open Cup in his time in Houston. Got a little bit of run there, but now his 3rd year with FC Tulsa. Players making their way back out. And Bird goes to his back here, continuing to be attended to. There may be a bit of blood there in the Athletic trainers trying to get that to cease. Approaching first half stoppage time. Say that at halftime, Devin and I'll walk you through all these Open Cup highlights. Sacramento and Union Omaha moving on. Louisville coming up short against Nashville.
I know it's early, but you asked me this immediately following the round of 32.
Yep.
Fourth round, as other people know it.
Sure.
Who had the best chance to go through? I told you over and over again it was Sac.
Sacramento, yep.
Do you have a feeling deep down in the gullet as to whether or not it will be Sac or Union Omaha? Who has the best chance?
See, I think you chose that a lot more on San Jose versus Nashville level of quality. And in that sense, I would say Omaha going to Kansas City.
And I agree with you, my friend.
Chicharito scored last game in the Open Cup. He played in the Open Cup a couple rounds ago, Chicharito did. I don't think Greg Vanny's playing around.
No, they care.
They do.
I mean, they were up, what, 2-0, 3-0 against San Diego Loyal with 30 minutes to go, and they brought Chicharito off the bench.
Off the bench,
I mean, that's just kind of a, thanks, boys, appreciate you coming.
There are other words that probably could be displayed there. Bird flies away. He's got a new wrap there.
I hope he's all right.
As they try to stem off the bleeding. Got a Dia elbow. Standing by the fourth, so Bird likely here to re-enter.
He's, for my money, he and DaCosta can't put a value on him for what they bring to this team, and not having the luxury of Rodrigo DaCosta for squad selection tonight, immediately that becomes the one that you look at and go, all right, we got to find a way to keep him on the pitch if possible. Of course, the health and safety, the most important thing. Great to see the immediate response and work him back onto the field.
Ownby. Penalty. In the second minute of 1 minute of stoppage time due to the injury. Louisville wins a penalty and a chance to pull level right before halftime. Stoppage time presented by the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. We're well past the 1 added minute.
They almost lost this window of opportunity here as this ball comes up over the top and the flick comes through. Great touch here by Cameron Lancaster, and then watch the back post run by Jorge Gonzalez. He wants it up. There's a slight hesitation, and then Brian Ownby, he sees he's got nowhere to put the ball because it's a great recovery defensively by FC Tulsa. Everybody drops back, the marks are there, and the cut back across. A little bit of contact, and Lancaster from 12 yards out, an opportunity to equalize.
Lancaster just got it under Lewis. And Louisville level, Lancaster's first of the year. That goal presented by the Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education, the Kentucky Lottery.
Fennick slides over, cut back across. There's a little bit of contact, not a ton in it, and he's already on a yellow card, so you can understand the persistent infringement in front of the referee. Cameron Lancaster doesn't get a ton on it, to be fair. It's not the greatest of penalties, but it's not the best of saves either. Lewis lets it slide underneath him, and Cameron Lancaster, for the first opportunity this year into the 11, makes them pay to get it to 1-1. That's now 12 for 13 all-time in his championship career, Mike, in penalties. Only ever missed once
And Lewis, to be fair, has stopped 5 of the 18 he's faced in his career now. That's not a
bad numbers either. No, and again, you got to look at it because he goes the right way. He reads the hips of Cameron Lancaster. Lancaster doesn't lead with the laces. Instead, goes on the instep. Doesn't have a lot of English on the ball. Keeps it low, and Lewis just misses it.
He had it dead to rights in theory. He read it right. Alas, we're still going. Lancaster appealed for a free kick. It goes the other way. And Lancaster he did. He talked himself into the book. Yellow card presented by World of Beer. Lancaster, after just 2 cards all of last year and 20 goals, is working his way slowly but surely up to both numbers. First goal, first card. And somehow, all right, there it is, the halftime whistle. There was an injury that extended that first half, but it is Lancaster in the 3rd minute of first half stoppage time, Dev, to pull level after the opener in the 35th minute from Brian Brown.
There wasn't a ton of looks in the final third for FC Tulsa, and there may not be the rest of the way. But again, if they can be efficient within their opportunities, that's all you need. 8 shots, 2 on target, 1 in the back of the net. Louisville the better team in the build overall, but those numbers don't matter. All that matters right now is you are on the road against Louisville, a team that has dropped 3 in all competitions. And they're going to go into the dressing room with a conversation with Danny Cruz to find balance within the attack. Too much on the left, not enough down the middle. What can you do in the second 45?
Well, it's been real, and it's been fun. Some would say it's been real fun. The halftime score is presented by Serve Pro. It's Louisville City and FC Tulsa. Level at 1 at the half. Open Cup highlights, news and notes, and more coming up.
Keep going. Keep working. Keep climbing. And always keep playing. With the unmatched orthopedic care at Baptist Health. With a best-in-class team, along with services and procedures you won't find anywhere else in the region. It's no wonder most people choose us to help them keep moving and doing the things that move them. Find a Baptist Health provider today.
There's so much involved in this community that is about sports. The goal is to be the source. The scoreboard gives you a score. In these days, everybody knows the score. You want to try and give people a little something else. We have great stories to tell in this city. It may be that I'm taking a picture and Rick Bozich is writing a story and Tom Lane or John Lewis is doing the television story. All of that's got to come together. No different than what a Bellarmine basketball team or a Louisville volleyball team or any of these others have.
After being cooped up all spring, it's time to get outside and enjoy the summer of now. With amazing rates, Adventure Loans from Commonwealth Credit Union let you hit the road, or no road at all, with UTVs, ATVs, and motorcycles, and our recreational loans for boats, motorhomes, and campers. This year, make the most of every day and stay cool for the summer with Commonwealth Credit Union. Here, we see you differently.
We will do everything on the field to make sure we win.
Anything less is a disappointment.
3 years since we last lifted a trophy, and that's far too many.
We're working every single day to bring home a championship.
We started off on the right foot, and now we just got to keep going.
Louisville City FC takes on Tampa Bay Rowdies June 4th at 7:30 on WBKI. Presented by Commonwealth Credit Union. We see you differently.
This is how we do it.
At Kroger, we believe it takes the right team to bring you fresh produce. That's why we partner with farmers who grow only the best. And that level of teamwork means better, fresher options time and time again. Because working together is truly what it takes to be fresh for everyone. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
welcome back to halftime. Mike Watson, Devin Kerr to take you through the very best of the U.S. Open Cup this week as Sacramento and Union Omaha making a little bit of history for the championship in League One. All right, Dev, forget wish. It's a dish. It's real. It's Luis Felipe.
2 championship teams, 1 League One coming into the final 16. Peep this from Luis Felipe Fernandez in the 28th minute. And then the man with the plan, the master class, row your boat all the way to the final 8. That's 2-0 Sacramento Republic, Mike.
Another moment of history-making magic for Roro Lopez, Mark Briggs, and Sacramento are moving on. They'll go to Carson to take on the Galaxy. How about Louisville City? Great start for Ownby in Lou City against Nashville.
You're going to look at the results and go, okay, they've lost 3 in a row, including this one to Nashville. But 37 minutes in, Brian Ownby with the flick across. The problem is, Akiloba, 2 minutes later, they've been waiting for him to get going ever since coming over from Liga MX. How about down into the corner? Good ball whipped in, flat across the box. That's called a gift, also known as a silver platter, and also known as 1-1 at Lynn Family Stadium. And then turn up the hands of time. Just before the end, sophomore slump turns into junior delight because there was no slump his second year in. That happened as a freshman. 3 years later, Hani Mukhtar in the 89th minute. Guy is just utter class off that back shoulder run into the bottom corner for a 2-1 victory.
Only the 3rd time Louisville has ever lost a knockout game on their home ground. Nashville, Orlando next round. How about in Minnesota, the upset?
We call this combination play, though. Triangular, you stand there, I'll put it back, and you pick out the near post, and that's 1-0 for Minnesota United. Just like that, Adrian Heath's boys are off and running. But yet, there was a storm a-brewing from the Midwest. Nobody told Minnesota United about it. Watch the ball flicked up over the top for Kamatani. In space, whips him off, doesn't get the best of it, but enough to the bottom corner, Mike, to tie it up.
Union Omaha trying to be the first USL League One team to ever reach the quarterfinal. And, well, here's the vital moment.
How's the game winner? Joey Brito, also known as Joey B, also known as Joey Drops Bombs, and in my personal favorite, the Circle of Trust, Joey Badass. Good opportunity right before the end final whistle. That's called the woodwork, though. This is a cup set, and that is Jay Mims and his boys headed to the final 8 against Sporting Kansas City from League One. Hats off, boys.
Yep, good luck at Children's Mercy Park. The Open Cup picks back up at the end of June. Back to your game, which I'm sure is exactly this exciting after these messages.
It's a goal for Orange County SC and their first of the season.
And that's full time. The old guard with a new trophy. Orange County wins the USL Championship final.
For the black and yellow, New Mexico takes the lead. And all 12,000 plus here at the lab are on their feet.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
Summer's here, and with a great deal on a new Toyota, you can go out and do all the things that make summer Well, summer, like go biking, glamping, pony rides, Mother's Day, scavenger hunts. Found it! Off-roading! Woohoo!
Save big on the roomy new Toyota Highlander, like this electrified Highlander Hybrid with fuel savings over $2,600. Save even more with 1.75 APR financing.
Your summer starts here.
Toyota, let's go places.
Welcome back. It's halftime in Louisville, Kentucky. Lynn Family Stadium, the site. The halftime score between Lou City and FC Tulsa is brought to you by ServPro, the official cleanup and restoration partner of Louisville City FC. Mike and Devin to walk you through news and notes from the USL Championship and beyond. We're done with cup sets. We already talked about it, Devin. Sit.
Oh, all right.
All right. How about Elite Company? Antoine Holpino, 35-35. This doesn't happen every day.
No, a little bit taken back by it, to be honest, and because you forget about all the loans with Harrisburg City in the years of yore. But, of course, a tremendous asset for Reno, most recently Louisville City, and now doing the same thing for Trevor Dames in Detroit. Think about the company that he's keeping in that club. Solomon Asante, Jorge Herrera, and then my personal favorite, Aiden Quinn. That is elite right there for Antoine Holpino.
All right, let's take a look at some of the scores from the week. Phoenix surprising FC. There should be an asterisk on that game if we're being frank. Tuesday, 7-0. Phoenix, a huge COVID outbreak. Birmingham getting a win they desperately needed. Orange County dropping some points against Atlanta.
All due respect to the score in the top right for New Mexico United. To you, what is the biggest result up there?
El Paso at Vegas.
So I'm with you on that one. I actually also look at Orange County away because they've really struggled to get any sort of result on the road. 1-2-2, this being their second draw. You can't win away or at least get some sort of positive result. Got to find a way to. They finally get a point. Now what happens when they go back home?
All right, this is game one of the day here in the championship. There's a ton of action later tonight. You can catch it all on ESPN Plus. Devin, don't just pick the game you're calling. Tell me one you like.
I like the RGV San Antonio game. RGV finally needs to go out and make a stand. They can do it at home against what I would argue is top 2-3 team in the entire championship, not just the Western Conference, and San Antonio. Only 2 losses to their name, both handed to them by Phoenix. Can RGV step up and knock it out of the park?
All right, we've got plenty more coming up here at Lynn Family Stadium. Louisville and Tulsa are at halftime. The halftime score brought to you by ServPro, the official cleanup and restoration partner of Louisville City FC. Second half is coming up next.
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
Summer is here, and with an exciting new Toyota, you can go climbing, paddleboarding, mountain biking, zip lining, camping.
How about napping?
Of course. Sorry, I'll keep it down.
Start your summer fun in the legendary Toyota 4Runner, or get a rugged new 22 Tacoma with 1.75 APR financing. And every new Toyota comes with 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Your summer starts here.
Toyota, let's go places.
At U of L Health Urgent Care Plus, the plus makes all the difference. You get convenient, world-renowned care that's backed by a network of academic expertise, less wait time, plus more advanced technology. Compassionate care plus no appointment necessary. It all adds up to a smart choice for the best care close by. So don't put your health on hold. That's the power of you.
When fire and water threaten your home, hand the cleanup over to the team that stays with you every step of the way in your journey back. 1-800-SERVPRO and servpro.com. Like it never even happened.
Welcome back, everybody. Louisville City and FC Tulsa on level terms at halftime. The score brought to you by Serve Pro, the official cleanup restoration partner of Louisville City FC. Mike Watts, Devin Kerr with you. We're going to start in the 34th minute. This is Lewis, and it's back, and flicked on, and there's Brown.
The build had been all Louisville, but the chances actually came via FC Tulsa. J.J. Williams on the header about 10 minutes in, and then the stretch here by Brian Brown. Again, separation between the back line. Tosh comes up into the pocket. Winder doesn't come over quick enough, but fleet of foot Brian Brown puts FC Tulsa on the road out 1-0. Response by Louisville just before halftime. Thought the window closed down. Hesitation by Ownby as he tries to cut it back and go 1v1. Johnny Fennick on a yellow card 32 minutes in. Little lucky. I've seen a referee give a second yellow in situations like this. There's contact, there's a penalty, and stop me if you've heard this before. 12 out of 13 times Cameron Lancaster now has a penalty that ends up in the bottom corner for Louisville.
Doing Lancaster things, Cam levels the score. Let's take a look at tonight's River City flooring first half stats. Fairly even on the end product, and you know what? I don't think Tulsa could give a rip about possession.
No, sometimes there are going to be games, and this is one of them, Mike, where you have to get a bit away from your identity. FC Tulsa, not necessarily known as a run and gun type team. They can kind of do it all. Jack of all trades, if you will. And right now, it's just a wide open field that they're going to have to take in transitional moments. I'd like to see more balance within their build because as they've gone, a lot of it has actually come through the left-hand flank. Less on Joaquin Rivas. He's in more of a restricted position, tucked inside a little bit. Obinwa has not come higher. So how do you create that tit for tat, if you will? I would make the same argument for Louisville, who primarily, when they've gone back to front, has been through the left-hand side, although some of the better opportunities definitely coming off the right foot of Brian Ownby.
Manny Perez enters here at halftime. We'll get you the full sub in a moment. Lancaster's 72nd championship regular season goal ties him with hip Jorge Herrera. I almost got there. Hooray. No.
Oh, the cat's got you. Did you walk the cat?
I forgot. Jorge Herrera, 72. Lancaster, 72. Herzog, 74. Dane Kelly, Bucko, 5. Lou City and Tulsa into the second half we go. We'll see if we can form complete sentences and words in the second half. Turned over almost immediately. Brown let that through. Back by Bone. That flick. There's a price paid there by the Tulsa player down at the top of the 18. The referee's going to stop play. Is that Williams?
His ankle. That's what he's grabbing on.
He kicked out toward Sean Tosh for a 50-50 ball. Seemed to catch his right foot.
Just behind Sean Tosh, and the clearance coming out of the air over that right shoulder. Lanes in. Should leave a mark for Sean Tosh as well, you'd think.
Well, both players will continue on. Athletic trainer never came out, so Williams able to remain. Brown scored in the 34th minute. Lancaster in the 3rd minute of first half stoppage time, 1-1. Sub at halftime brought to you by MHS Global Above and Beyond. Jimenez off and Perez returns, the typical first choice right back. For Jimenez, that was his first start in the league this year. He played 59 minutes in his 3 substitute appearances. Goes 45 minutes in that first half. For Perez, his first time coming off the bench this season. As Danny Cruz starts to adjust here. Perez angling under it. And the header up and away from Gabby Torres. This is Corrales. Corrales, long ball forward. Tosh read that. Corrales streaks in. That's a handball. All right, today's trivia brought to you by Tony's Break and Alignment. We got Devin to really consider the facts.
Wow. Really?
As Red Bull 2
so
went
they
on
drew.
To win the title that year.
Win draw.
Yes.
Wow, and I thought that's would have been the case for the 2015 Rhinos team.
They
all
did.
Apologies, by the way, to Bob Lilly on that one.
Yeah, but they did beat them twice then. Red Bull's done it twice. 2 separate years. Knocked off Louisville twice in the season, and then Tulsa did it last year. Hugely infrequent to see a team beat Louisville twice in the same campaign. Ball floated long and beyond Cameron Lancaster.
I told you coming in though, Mike, and I understand that we haven't even hit the 5-minute mark as we approach it though, is I wanted to see better balance from both teams, specifically on the right-hand flanks. You're already seeing it for Louisville. The relationship between Brian Ownby and Manny Perez, pretty impressive so far. Ownby has come deeper at times, Perez in the overlappings. Ownby a bit more comfortable too in the changeover that was Oscar Jimenez and his start at right back. There's more confidence on both sides, the left and right respectively, for Lou City the start of the second half.
Ownby flicked that back up and away. It was an awkward clearance, and now it's been handled by Corrales. Taken down by Winder, who's scheduled to head to Spain with the under-19s next week for the U.S. Winder's doing this himself. Give Corrales pause. Ownby, a little too much. Ownby scoring against Nashville midweek in the Open Cup. Maybe there's a good blast here. That takes a deflection. Is it a handball? The referee says arms were tucked in. Bone. Gibson. Bone. Tosh. Run all the way back to Sean Lewis. June 4th is the official Pride match for Racing Louisville FC. Be there as they host the North Carolina Courage at Lynn Family Stadium. Tickets on sale now at racingloufc.com/tickets. North Carolina, the standard setter more years than not in the NWSL. Back to the top of the heap in the most recent NWSL Challenge Cup. And for Louisville, well, things are going all right now. Wins over San Diego and Gotham. Racing starting to find their form this year in the regular season. Good step by Bird, but that slide sends it through for Louisville, out in front, and it's a double for Cameron Lancaster. He sits alone in third on the championship goal-scoring charts. And Louisville from behind to lead 2-1.
The biggest concern coming in for FC Tulsa was having to withstand so many attacks out on the wings. And this one, watch as the tackle pops out here. Bird comes a little bit higher, and then just go to work, training ground type stuff. The turnover coming back through. Amadou Dia, he takes a chance here, and I'm all for it. He comes higher, recognizing the fact that Del Piccolo is gonna go win this ball as it sprays out. And as he does, you don't need a head on a swivel. Solid vision in one spot and one spot only for Cameron Lancaster inside the box.
That goal presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education. The Kentucky Lottery. Number 72 and 73 for Lancaster. And Louisville, who fell behind in the 34th, pulled level in stoppage time on a penalty. We've seen Lancaster thrust Louisville ahead. Pumped forward. Flag apparently up, which draws a Gabby Torres dismissive wave. Louisville could have the best of problems, two in-form number 9s. And how you get those two on the field together is probably something that Danny Cruz and the coaching staff are going to spend a lot of time thinking about now that the Open Cup isn't soaking up all the midweeks.
The problem he has isn't just getting them both on the field, it's the fact that they haven't really gotten to take a good look at it in training. Given the injuries that were picked up in preseason, remember, Cameron Lancaster got a knock left, then came back. Wilson Harris had a tiny knock, then he came back.
Perez, Onby at Lewis. And he hoovers up the rebound.
So to recap, 55 minutes in, 10 into the second half. We wanted balance on the outside. We wanted more work down into the channels. And you wanted to see Cameron Lancaster get on the score sheet. Let's check all that off, right? X marks the spot for Louisville City and what they've been able to do at the start here. You got to give a lot of credit to Brian Ownby and Jorge Gonzalez and what they're doing. They're tucking to the inside. They're dragging the width of this FC Tulsa team with them. I mentioned the gamble by Amadou Dia off the bounce that came from Eric Bird. There's still a lot of work to be done on it. And the same thing here for Louisville City with Manny Perez on the right side. Comes really high. This is the different look, though, that you get when you institute Tyler Gibson into this lineup, Mike. His willingness to step out of that middle area, come to the outside and do the defensive work, drop onto the back line, help out in one-on-one situations, and then start to spring the attack going forward.
Throw for Corrales. Some of the fans here will actually be able to watch almost the entire Champions League final, it turns out, with the delays they've had in Paris. Fans will put it on the big board here at Lynn Family Stadium and take in Liverpool and Real Madrid. Also saves Devin from having to keep his eyes crossed watching two feeds at once. Attack on here. Onby. Perez. Onby early. Onby part deux. Lost by Gibson. Bird. Good slide, Ownby. Del Piccolo forward. Lancaster playing with some pep in his step.
Good tackle.
Ownby corralled by Corrales. And Lancaster chopped down. Let's take a look at today's nugget of the match. Josh Winder following Elijah Winder, second Lou City Academy product to sign a pro deal, and now they have the news that he's headed back in with the under-19s. Bone steps over. Lancaster delivers. It was excellent. It was right at Del Piccolo, who promptly put it right on Lewis's doorstep.
This is a quick start again for Louisville City off the dead ball. What was the stat coming in, Mike? Our compatriot said. Joe Malfa on the road feed for FC Tulsa. 8 goals given up by Tulsa in the first 15 minutes.
Most in the league.
How about Louisville? They've actually scored 7 goals in the first 15 minutes of the second half.
I couldn't tell you if that was best in the league. No idea.
It's certainly not poor, we'll give it that much.
I believe Louisville just became the highest scoring team in the league again. Now that they've added 2 today. Even with New Mexico's 7 during the week, they had a lot of catching up to
El
do.
Paso's 1. Yeah. They'd be 2 behind.
And look, all the advanced numbers say that's not a fluke. Opponents' box touches, Matiti, Harris, Ownby, all top 10 in the league. So they're getting into the opposition's 18 with more regularity than more or less any team. Their expected goals would certainly make you believe it's second in the league at 22 coming into the game. That they are, in fact, as good as the numbers ultimately portend. It's a full sprint back, and Winder steps in now. Morton. Pressure arrives, and a bit of a lucky bounce off Cabato. Or that could have gone haywire.
I'm with Brian Brown, though. He did a ton of chasing on this, and he was expecting the pressure by Joaquin Rivas to come up underneath quicker. Didn't happen. And although you get a tiny touch from Cabato, that they're able to retain possession in midfield, this could have easily been a turnover if the understanding that assistance was needed underneath Brian Brown came sooner.
And Williams is being attended to here. See what decisions might lie ahead for Michael Encian. He's a pretty good goalkeeper sitting next to him too. Let's see if we can get a better look here at J.J. Williams going down in the pressure a moment ago.
Trails it, and his right foot, right there. I mean, the initial look is, okay, Tosh is coming back through it, but on the follow through, the stud comes right up through to make contact with J.J. Williams. Remember, he collided in the first half on the ankle of his, and even if it's not the same spot, already battered a touch.
Being walked off here. Jonathan Milwee is the head athletic trainer for FC Tulsa. The first assistant, by the way, sitting next to Michael Ensian is Donovan Ricketts, who had a sterling career as a player as well. Actually finished it out as that hybrid coach-player situation that we've seen from time to time in the past. It's how Matt Pickens ended up in Nashville after his time with the Rowdies. Williams has returned. Pinged up toward Perez. Throw here for Louisville. Joella's Hot Chicken is serving up just the right amount of spice with their Lou City Slider Pack. $5 from every pack sold, donated toward the Lou City and Racing Louisville Youth Academy. With 7 heat levels to choose from, Joella's Hot Chicken isn't just about heat, it's about flavor. Lewis got under it.
Pickles on the hot chicken?
Always.
Have to be. Coleslaw on or on the side?
In the trash can.
In the trash can?
Yeah, not for me.
Oh, wow.
I think I just got myself in trouble for that.
You think you know a guy?
No.
Okay.
What's in the coleslaw? Is this a vinegar or a mayonnaise-based item?
Doesn't matter either way. Pick one.
Neither, but I'm asking. Ombi. Ombi cuts that across, and it's in. It's Jorge Gonzalez. Gonzalez bangs it toward goal, gets over the line. He'll keep the slaw to the side. 3-1 Louisville City.
Argument in the first half was for the trailing runs right around the penalty mark. This time, they're just trying to keep pace as the ball comes up over the top. Abuchi Obinwa is the one who's going to drift in on the back post here. You've got numbers. This is simple. It's 4v3, but you got to get on the inside shoulder. Gonzalez recognizes the fact that he sandwiched himself in between Obinwa and Bourgeois. Comes back across, deflection or not. Really impressive from the boys in the purple jerseys to add to the lead.
That goal presented by Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education, the Kentucky Lottery. Well, it's Gonzalez who steered it at goal, but it appears to have been an own goal. It looked like Abuchi Obinwa, wrong place, wrong time. Ownby navigating, Ownby electrifying nearly for Lancaster. And maybe we're watching Louisville get their mojo back. They hadn't lost 3 games in a row since September of 2015. Dia got the job done.
That's just sort of been the year for FC Tulsa as well, hasn't it? It's those tiny windows where they switch off. Defensively, as you're making the recovery, Mike, you've got the numbers. Set it over the goal. It was 4v3 in favor of the visitors. But as Badley Bourgeois starts to drift back to the inside, Obinwa's got to come closer to him. And good on Jorge Gonzalez, by the way. He recognizes that he can push into the space. Everything else is set up. Fenix got the drop-off run from Lancaster covered. Jorge Gonzalez, even as he comes in, if you're going to pass that player off, you better be real certain that he can get over quick enough. Whether the communication occurred or not, you can't pick it out. And the most important thing for Danny Cruz and Louisville is they've added another, and unfortunately for FC Tulsa, same story, different day.
65th minute, the own goal. And Perez looked a little bit banged up over there a moment ago. One wonders if there's anything more to that. Slid right to Tosh. Del Piccolo. Ownby maintained it, served it. Flex away, Bourgeois. And Bone will collect. Perez angling away from Williams. Perez jump stop. Perez through. Perez taken off. A couple changes coming here. Rodriguez, who's got some experience in the El Salvador roster. Dario Suarez as well. The subs are brought to you by MHS Global. Well, Dev, I think everyone knows what Dario Suarez brings to the party.
The guy can fly. Yeah,
Oh.
coleslaw. Little feedback on air about whether or not that's really part of the argument.
And you feel for Benoit. I'm not sure what more he's supposed to do there. It's really inconvenient.
Well, I don't feel for him, to be fair, because he's wrong. He's in the wrong spot. That's simple. I feel for him in the sense that he's out of position. And I'm talking about within the game, not on the actual sequence itself. That's simple defending. Logics that are instilled in you as a child, where when the ball's coming back and it's out on the channel, you get goal side in front of him. That's easy to figure out.
Suarez bounced calmly to Dia.
You can place blame on Benoit, and you can talk about Bourgeois as well. Again, we don't know if there's a shout on the back shoulder to grab the runner. It looked like the way the play is set up, that's got to be on Benoit, because still Bourgeois can't see behind him. And he's still got to account for the fact that if the ball does cut back, even though Johnny Fennick was close enough to Cameron Lancaster, next up is Bourgeois. So you're second man in that argument to step in and help out.
Ball driven all the way across. It's brilliant. It's off the post and right to Morton. Brown was right there. And if there was a kinder deflection to Louisville this year, I haven't seen it.
Good ball by Gabby Torres, and you wondered if Dario was going to reach out to him. This is where the communication is definitely there. There's a shout from behind him to leave. Good redirect. Kyle Morton, we say a lucky prayer for you, my friend. Very fortunate for this thing to bounce back, because that could have easily been 2 for FC Tulsa.
Attendance announced 9,326 for this first of 9 games in the championship today. Morton. Oh, wow. Couple moments here where Louisville's made some mistakes, and you listen to Danny Cruz, and even when everything was going right and 7 shutouts in the first 10 league games, they were really cautious about the fact that a couple mistakes can really burn you. It felt like it did against Nashville and against Monterey. Perez. Good slide and back out to Suarez.
If you stop growing, Mike, and finding ways to get better, how many times have we seen within this league squads continuing to rattle off results, but they're not actually putting together quality performances?
I don't know who you're talking about.
I'm happy to talk about it.
I know.
Go back. Look, to be fair.
Yeah.
Whether it's Phoenix in 2019, FC Cincinnati in 2018, you can't really make the argument for the Monarchs in 17 because they were injured a ton. But statistically, the 2 most impressive teams in championship history were Cincinnati in that 18 year and Phoenix in that 19 year. Right. And yet, if you watch them, they just found a way to win. They didn't actually play very well. It's kind of one of those, it's like cup football. Where do we get our goal from? Okay, the magic's not there, fine, but how do we find a way to win? And Danny Cruz said, we're not about that. We're trying to make sure that, yeah, obviously we'd like the results to stay clear here now, but we want to make sure come playoff time, home game is coming here, form is there, so that we're not looking around going, wow, we should have taken care of this a long time ago. And that's what a lot of squads have run into.
Del Piccolo gets a talking to here. We look at Louisville year after year, and there may not, Devin, be a team that brings back a higher percentage of players over the last 5 years, year to year, than Louisville has. There have been times we've seen teams do that for a couple years in a row, and the rest of the league got better around them, and the team did not. I think about Oklahoma City out west, 14, 15, 16 deep playoff runs, and then the wheels come off.
17 as well.
I sort of considered it over by then, but I guess. As this gets leveled off and Bird finds the other side. Ball whipped across and Perez allows it through. The magic here of Louisville is that they found the right pieces, that they never had to tear this thing down to the studs. But if the original guys didn't continue to get better consistently, Del Piccolo, Jimenez, whether it be the young goalkeepers they've brought through, improving within their season, now getting to Kyle Morton at this point, Masoso.
Cameron Lancaster.
Most definitely.
We talked about Paolo Del Piccolo and the sit-down that was in 2018, right? The triumvirate that had to steer this team and push them through games before the organization decided who was going to lead them moving forward, and then they had to wait for John Hackworth to come in as well because he was still with the youth national team at that point in time. Paolo Del Piccolo at that point in time was, for the most part, an out-and-out 6 for this squad.
Yep.
A 6 that would move into an 8. Now you're looking at a guy that carries a brunt of the attacking options on his shoulders. Obviously, that waxes and wanes depending on the opponent.
Torres being pushed away, and of course now McCabe as well, another guy.
Corbin Bone. Think about Corbin Bone with FC Cincinnati and what his role was. Same kind of deal. Deeper lying facilitator in the sense that they just wanted him to be a person that they could play through, not off of. And those are two very different things. Playing through someone, a lot of times, you're just looking to get from point A to point B. But you don't have to be the actual creator.
High arcing ball that Morton allows through, and the recycling begins again. Torres. And a push in from behind, and a foul conceded. Hey, fans, head to Twitter. Vote on today's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match. Poll open the next 10 minutes. Vote now. Twitter.com/LouCityFC. Napo Masoso is turning today 28 years old. From Lesotho. 9,000 miles as the bird flies. Del Piccolo turning 31 today. And the two who, at the beginning of the year on photo day, took a picture together with some balloons, knowing that this moment would happen. Exchange for one another. The sub brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. Wilson Harris comes on. He's among the league leaders in goals scored. And Cameron Lancaster comes off, Dev. 2 goals to his name, his first 2 of the year.
31 touches, 3 chances created, over 85% passing accuracy, 75% plus in the final third. 2 goals and a partridge in a pear tree.
He's back.
November 13th of 2021, Cameron Lancaster, the lone goal in a 1-0 win against the Charlotte Independents. The 3-2 loss that was the comeback for the Rowdies in the Eastern Conference Final, and then dormant due to injury. Pretty special return for the Englishman.
Gonzalez comes off as well. And Louisville shuffles the deck here with 13 minutes to go. They'll go away to Tampa Bay on June the 4th, which I gotta think carries a little bit of weight in that room. Probably in both dressing rooms.
I was gonna say, just one room.
When you win the game, it's just another game, I guess. The miracle at Al Lang in the playoffs, the conference finals a year ago, the long-awaited rematch in St. Pete next weekend. You'll see it on ESPN Plus, and you'll see it on WBKI live in Louisville.
That'll actually be a back-to-back for the Rowdies against both of these teams. They'll be on the road at One Oak on June 1st against FC Tulsa, and then hosting Louisville on the weekend.
Excellent ball ahead. It's beyond Suarez.
And then you got to turn around on the short rest to Louisville at home, then on the road at Ricardo Silva Stadium, the 11th against Miami FC.
Oh, and Louisville actually gets both sides of the championship final back-to-back too. Tampa Bay, and then they host Orange County. For neutrals, I think that's a great time. For Danny Cruz and the Brain Trust down in Tampa Bay, I'm not sure they feel quite as excited. Yeah,
well, you're going to have the amount of workload that goes in. Good touch, corner.
Yep, streak in behind, won the corner. Flick that off to Silva.
By the way, the coleslaw argument is starting to gain some traction on Twitter.
Is it?
Well, apparently the argument is none at all. Whether mayonnaise or vinegar, no coleslaw whatsoever as a side condiment. I said that I'll be putting that out as a poll this week.
Okay.
Got to give the people what they want.
And that's not coleslaw.
Apparently.
It's hot chicken as it was meant to be eaten. With pickles. 5-5 corner. Service got by Winder. Oh, you can see it. He thought that was a tap in.
Ronald Rodriguez gets lucky here because the great amount of separation created by Josh Winder. Wide open, the center back is.
Obviously, Winder finished off the St. Louis City SC2 Open Cup game from the penalty spot. Hit that gritty. Hasn't scored in the league yet. Put back in play by Ronald Rodriguez. Came through Aguila in El Salvador, one of the top clubs there. This is kept by Torres. He's had some really enlightening moments. Torres again for Suarez. Slipped off his foot. And a push in from Harris. Play continues. And struck well off frame.
Again, this team can create. There's no problem with that at all. It's what can the finished product be once it's whipped into the danger area. And then defensively, can you lock it up at times this afternoon? You've seen some really impressive movement from FC Tulsa. You touched on it a little bit, Mike. Gabby Torres on the left-hand side, very active. Would say that you saw a lot more of him, to be fair, in the first half in the build because of the success he was having against Oscar Jimenez. The way that they set up over there, a little different here in the second half for Louisville. Manny Perez on. The overall individual defending has been better against the left flank of FC Tulsa, and the relationship between Brian Ownby and Perez has been fantastic, albeit for only 36 minutes so far.
Driven away by Morton. If Tulsa can get one here in short order, they could try and turn this thing around. They do have that ability to strike at your heel in quick succession. A couple ricochets. Perez nods it ahead. Ownby stuck his foot out. And Torres continues.
They're searching too, because if you watch the shape overall, watch the build right now. You're starting to see a bit more of Cabato down underneath, but more importantly, Brian Brown coming in. Some of that is by plan, some of it's by frustration, to be fair, for the 9 overall. He hasn't seen as much of the ball, so when he comes down in underneath Winder and Shantosh, can he find the space? But as he picks it up, he's got to have someone to play off of. And that's the real talking point you got to watch. That when he drops deeper, can he find the connecting dots to find guys like Joaquin Rivas and Dario Suarez to move it onto the front line?
That's going to get out. Change coming here. That's Kuich, who spent time with Sporting Kansas City 2 alongside Musha Galusa and Wilson Harris. This is an awkward reunion. Coming on. Kuich, 3rd time off the bench, 12th appearance this year. Cabato to throw. And taken back by Masoso, slipped it through. There's a foul from Mateus Silva. Baptist Health Louisville provides nationally recognized orthopedic care locally. Learn more about their high-performing hospital ranking in knee replacement from U.S. News and World Report. BaptistHealth.com/ortho. Brown trying to weave around Tosh.
He's not doing himself any favors here, is he, Shantosh?
And a yellow card comes out. The yellow card is presented in a world of beer.
One of the arguments from Danny Cruz has been some of the poor decision making on the back line. What I want to know is if there's a shout here from Kyle Morton. As Tosh slows up a little bit, probably should have come tighter on the back shoulder of Brian Brown, but as it comes across the body, at that point in time, whether there's a shout from your goalkeeper or not, immediate turn, clear the line. Said you just stand over it. And yes, Brian Brown picks up the yellow card. I understand it, but you put yourself in that situation.
At some point, I'm sure, in your time playing as a center back, there's the point where you're the hammer, you're the nail. And you have some choice in that at times.
Again, in a lot of spots, you're put into situations not based upon your own decisions, right? So
that's a good ball, chipped long. Cabato streaks under it. Suarez wants it early, and Perez siphoned it off.
Your ability to react and close down the attacking options is why you're back there, right? You have the best view of the field outside of the goalkeeper. You can communicate with everybody face to face or back to front. So as that came up over the top, if Kyle Morton asks him to leave it, there is going to be hesitation by Shantosh. But if Morton doesn't come, it's still your responsibility. You still expect the pressure to be there on Brian Brown. It's not. If the goalkeeper doesn't come and it runs through, you are now the sole player to step in and clear it off. Now, you can't make the argument for the fact that the goalkeeper said something, but you can resolve it on the backside of things.
Well, this is an intriguing sub here because Perez only came on at halftime, but it is perhaps a more defensive-minded change here. Perez off, Sharpie on. Sub brought to you by MHS Global, above and beyond. That's Louisville's 5th and final substitution. And look, with Sharpie, you have the opportunity to play 3 in the back. You also have seen him at outside back a little bit, so you might just be shoring up that side here down the stretch. Cabato. Bird tried to lay that off. Picked up by Silva. Rolled along to Fennick. Is there more here for Louisville City? Mushagalusa. There's Sharpie playing out on the right. Ownby not going to get there. Cooper's having an experience here today, huh? Did you see Sheamus, the WWE champion, was in the stands here at Lynn Family Stadium Wednesday?
I did say that, absolutely.
You a wrestling fan?
Used to be a lot more. Still a fan, just don't get to watch as much.
Ah, Greco-Roman. Our good buddy Todd Koulis, producer for ESPN, actually is in charge of the production of the National Championship for Wrestling. He's a bit of a legend in that space.
So he's seen plenty of my legends as well. Penn State's really ruled the roost there, so had to get one over on you. You've given me a thrashing too many times on the gridiron, if you will.
Ball rolled back by Masoso. Mushagalusa. Held all the way to the end line. He's going to swing out. 5-5 corner coming, and you would think Louisville take their time as we approach second half stoppage time, which is presented by the Louisville Muhammad Ali International Airport. The officials have added 3 minutes.
What's next here for FC Tulsa? If you're Michael Inson, trying to figure out what's going on. I would say that the good news is you're at home.
Yep.
The bad news, as we mentioned a bit earlier, is you've got the Rowdies and Miami FC still trying to work the V into the name. And look, there's no longer, for the most part, a layup in the USL Championship.
I was just talking to a coach about this. It felt like the move of the MLS second sides out of the league and in MLS Next Pro basically took out the bottom, 20% of each conference?
And yet, going to Montclair is not an easy place to play. Like, you're not just going to go on the road and beat Red Bull 2.
And even Loudoun, we talk about it often. Ryan Martin, the team's always ready to go. It's just whether they can defend.
Yeah, and so there's the up and down. You're home, you're away against Red Bull 2, you're away against 901 FC. That's not a layup anymore.
Nope.
If you look down the line, outside of the next two, and I understand I'm digging here a little bit, but just hear me out. Outside of the next two, when you play the Rowdies and Miami FC, you've got a stretch of about 5 and 6 where you've got a real good chance of getting a result. You've got Red Bull 2, Battery at home, on the road at Loudoun, home against Atlanta United 2. Now, you may not like the resume overall and who they've got results against, but it's still a chance for them to gain some confidence.
Mushagalusa, early ball, Harris! Harris scores in the last minute of the game! An exclamation point, and this boy can't stop scoring!
Nice to have a problem if you're Danny Cruz, and he's got one. The exclamation point from Wilson Harris, the brace from the Englishman. And just like that, it's gone from bad to worse for FC Tulsa, but with Wilson Harris, the turn on a dime. Great explosion down into the channel. As he pulls this back across Mike, the drift off the right foot to get a touch, keep it that close, still be able to plant your standing foot down in, get it on the left, and put it in the bottom corner. Extremely impressive, which gives him his 7th of the season. That's T1 best in the USL Championship for the Golden Boot race.
Harris, the finisher, a 4-1 win. Tulsa led this match at the 34th minute, and Louisville finds their mojo, and instead of a 4-match losing skid, a 4-1 win over Tulsa to move top of the East. Harris closes it out the right way for Louisville City, but they've got a number 9 problem. Number 17 is back. Today's Lynn Family Sports Vision and Training Man of the Match, the man with the brace, Cameron Lancaster.
Pretty impressive performance, because it's not just the goals, Mike, it's the work that he was able to put in up top. So much goes unnoticed in Cameron Lancaster's game, but if you truly dig down into it, he does a ton of work off the ball. Those 2 goals push him into 3rd all-time in USL Championship, 73 goals overall. Pretty impressive numbers for Cameron Lancaster in his time here at Lou City.
So Danny Cruz's side, they said when you're pushed up against the wall, up against the ropes, how do you respond? Well, they've responded with a 4-goal outburst, 3 in the second half. Postgame presented by Kentucky Office of Highway Safety, and it's coming up next.
It all starts with a smile. To show you care, offer a sign of love, welcome someone home. Even when we don't see each other, or share a room, even without words, smiles bring us together. Let's keep yours healthy. Mortensen Family Dental. Schedule online at mortensondental.com.
Summer's here, and with an exciting new Toyota, you can take a trip to the beach, the city, the mountains, the desert, ooh, the bayou. I think I'm sinking. Definitely sinking.
Save big on a built-in-the-USA Toyota Camry, like this electrified Camry Hybrid, with fuel savings over $5,500. Save even more with 1.75 APR financing.
Your summer starts here.
Toyota, let's go places.
Imagine your bright career when you join the U of L Health Team. Now, imagine receiving free tuition to the University of Louisville. At U of L Health, we believe in investing in you and the power of education. So now, your U of L Health family has college tuition covered for all employees and their families. Just imagine the possibilities. That's the power of you.
Danny Cruz taking in the sights and sounds, and well, this whole purple family has waited for this moment for a couple weeks' time. Louisville back top of the East. Good clearance by Danny, too. He still has it.
Still got the touch. Get him some studs.
No
you don't want him going down. No more injuries.
Postgame presented by the Kentucky Office of Highway Safety. Louisville 4, FC Tulsa 1. Let's take a look at the Toyota move of the game. Toyota, let's go places.
Again, you have to take chances at certain points in time in a match that you feel like are going to benefit you. And this is one, because as Eric Bird actually gets the first touch here, Amadou Dia comes high. If FC Tulsa turn this thing over and go the other direction, the back line is left out to dry. Instead, good ball down into the channel, and then there's death, there's taxes, and there's Cameron Lancaster scoring goals inside the 18.
All right, the full-time match stats are brought to you by River City Flooring. 4-1. The possession actually tilted towards Tulsa in the second half of play. And Louisville, look, they were clinical, and that's something that they've been missing recently. Devin, a chance for your final thoughts.
The goal is great from the spot in the sense that they get a goal. It wasn't the greatest of penalties, but you walk into that dressing room at halftime, and the words from Danny Cruz, like them or not, were probably something along the lines of this: we've lost 3 in a row in all competitions. It's never been 4. don't be the team to put yourself out and make that a statistic and a talking point moving forward. Let's go out, get back to basics and what we are great at, and find some goals. They do that, 3 points, and just like that, that's Louisville right back on track.
Tonight's final score brought to you by Gorski Law Office. A little early frustration. Brown the opener, but Lancaster a brace, and Harris gets it done. And for Louisville City, you'll never walk alone. Lou 1, Tulsa 4.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.